Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. 100 Thieves Boostio officially benched off the team last night. So much reaction to this change from other teams. Ethan looking to get revenge from NRG's perspective on 100 T as a result of this move. He was on that organisation, of course, as we know before, but also other drama in the Americas. We've got Zix and the team at 100 Thieves explaining why they've made this change to 100 T, but if it doesn't go to plan over the coming weeks and months, there may well be more heads rolling at that organisation. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. Is Baby Bay in his G2 jersey getting ready to go. We'll see something on that in a second. Of course, Zels is rolling in the Americas Stage 2 predictions as well. 2G over EG, MRBR over Crew. Well, yeah, we'll see how that turned out over the coming minutes. I wanted to start here. Thanks all, by the way, in the comments below saying that you can get rid of on VLR the odds stuff here. So I've got rid of that, which is good. So hopefully YouTube doesn't mind too much. Now, PaperX DFM. This is a 2-0. DFM got smoked by PaperX, wasn't really close, 13-7, 13-7, so GG's. That was in the Pacific. We had Global Esports go down to Team Secret, so Team Secret actually did it. They won a series. Now, not to criticise them too much, but, you know, it's tough for GE, right, because there was actually quite a lot of optimism around this GE progress. People were like, damn, GE, like, you know, they've looked pretty good. They've started out their stage relatively well. They were 2-0 against RRQ, as we know, but maybe RRQ, unfortunately for them, just massive Teho merchants. That is a plausible reality right now. So Team Secret get a nice early victory on the board over there. That's put the team situation as this. And if I hit the refresh, actually, there is, I think, more games going on right now. Yeah, Talon are playing Zeta. So PaperX open up 2-0. Gen.G, they play RRQ as well in a couple of hours. And if they win that, of course, they'll be sitting pretty in that group for sure. But yeah, Talon are playing Zeta right now, which is an important game because Zeta really need to get this win on the board, but they just got 13-5'd on the icebox, and it doesn't look like that is going to be changing by any means at all. So yeah, we'll see where that goes from here. The other region that I wanted to mention though was in China, because it's all been going on out there. Trace Esports just 2-1 Edward Gaming, and the final map of the series was just not particularly close at all. And this has raised some really big questions on what is happening right now in China, but also where they go from here. I don't think there's much doubt that Edward Gaming, since the Simon drama, have not been the same team, maybe struggling to find a bit of an identity, just not being anywhere near as effective. I mean, Bianca had 4 kills on the Sunset and they still won it, and that was Edward's pick. Edward then actually bounced back on the other team's pick. They won Trace Esports pick 13-11 on the binds, and then the Icebox, but they got smoked 13-3 on the Icebox in a decider. Only 2 rounds on the attacking side on Icebox is, yeah, very much so unacceptable. Their new man has been pretty much struggling as well. I'm sure that Simon is got a little bit of a smirk on his face with the recent results, but it's tough to say, like, what's happening in China and where they really go from here, because it feels like right now it's all over the place out there. Like, I mean, look at these groups, right? I mean, Edward are 1-1 in their group. We've got, you know, Billy at 2-0, Tyloo at 2-1, Trace at 2-1. All Gamers got to win against Wolves. I mean, Wolves are 0-2, and they need to win like everything from now on if they want to turn it around, because their run is just terrible, because they got 2-0'd by FPX earlier in the month, and then they got 2-0'd by All Gamers the other day. And there are a couple of gamers still, still cracking on. I mean, DRG play All Gamers in, I mean, literally right as I'm recording this video, this match is about to start. So, yeah, it's very interesting what's happening out there in China right now. But we've got to get to the Americas as well. And we're going to start our discussion on the Americas with the roster changes that we saw. So, QR Gaming, they bid farewell to Kess. Of course, he's been, you know, Senti, Flex, Initiator. He's been playing a few things. But, you know, mainly he will be stepping in as the initiator for this team and not to 100 Thieves as the in-game leader. That responsibility we think is going to fall to Xander and Asuna, and, you know, they're pretty much going to do some of the mid-round calling as well. Whether this is going to work for 100 T is a big question, but after Kess was released, it was pretty clear what was going to happen next, and 100 T confirmed it yesterday that Boostio has been moved to the inactive roster ahead of the VCT. Now, yeah, very, very interesting development, I think, from the 100 Thieves side. Boostio getting benched in this way, and he's also not commented on it yet. I feel like this is maybe indicative. Look, if Boostio had come up with a statement saying, look, I understand my performance hasn't been great, and, you know, they're deciding to move on and make some changes, Okay, it is what it is. The fact that Boostio has not tweeted anything makes me feel like he's very frustrated about this, and I don't necessarily think he shouldn't be, to be honest. I think if I was in this position, I would be feeling pretty frustrated too, especially the timing maybe of the change. They could have had some time to do this. Look, Boostio's not been great this season. The team's been underperforming. They don't feel like on the team they currently have they can win. And you know what? Fair enough. They decided to make a change. Xander's going to step in as the in-game leader, but they are recognizing Thieves, that there's literally a day, I mean, I think it's today they play their first game. They do not have strats. They do not have things prepared for what's a very important split. So the timing of it is interesting. Yeah, they qualified for the World Cup and they wanted to give that a go with Boostio, but they got knocked out of the groups by Edward, a team that are now struggling back domestically. So it's very clear that Thieves were nowhere near good enough to make a deep run at that tournament, and frankly to try and qualify for this year's World Championship again. So Boostio has been benched. I don't think he's very happy about it, nor probably should he be. And, you know, what's he going to be thinking about the team now? We shall see. Could it help them? I think it certainly could. Does it have its component and element of risk? Absolutely it does. And Ethan says, got you tomorrow, as in, because of course Ethan with NRG, going to try and beat 100 Thieves with their new roster to get some revenge, as it were, on 100T for dropping Boostio and putting him down to the bench. So he's on the inactive roster, he's been benched, he's not been entirely dropped, but Boostio not very happy, and FNS says, welcome, the grass is very green here. So who knows whether NRG or maybe FNS means the retirement home is what FNS is getting at, like from the retired in-game leaders of the Valorant world. But they confirmed it last night, 100T, that Kess is going to be their man, right? So QOR Kess has been doing some good things for some time. His numbers are very impressive, and they seem to think that he's a real talent who can be molded into a star of the future. Kess says, can't wait to show you what we have prepared. So it's an interesting statement because, like, they talk about the preparation, but actually in the podcast they did discussing this move, they were kind of suggesting, understandably, that they're not going to be as well prepared as they might like to have been, given the changes very last minute. Asuna says, blessed to have you on my team. So there's lots of hype, clearly, around this player being very promising. This was just that announcement tweet. Now, Zix, the coach, he talked about it. I will say, this is a make or break move for 100T at this point. To get rid of your in-game leader at this time in the season with a crucial run to the end of the year, if it doesn't work, you know, people will be held accountable for it, and there is a world where, you know, Zix no longer has a job if this fails. Like, I would not be surprised if he's been a key piece behind this decision, so, you know, they're obviously taking some degree of risk, and probably it's a good risk to take, I would say, because if the team crashes and burns as they were with Boostio, let's be real, not achieving the heights of last year with their current team, then probably his job is also very much at risk regardless anyway. But Boostio, as he says, wouldn't trade anything for the experiences I've had with him, one of my best friends, enjoy working with him the most, making this change is hard, but in any competition, results matter. The direction we're looking to take is one that takes on a lot of risk, given the short turnaround, but aims to add more stability and potential to accomplish our current goal of qualifying for champs. Lots of work to do, not lots of time to do it. So that's Zix's perspective. They believe in Kess as well, as he says, with about a year of competitive experience prior in Valorant. He's very fresh to the scene, always learning and performing, loads of talent. They believe he could be a serious star. So we'll see how it goes. The big question for many is the in-game leadership piece, right, and the way that's going to look, because Xander has not been an especially strong slayer with crazy output for this 100 Thieves team recently, and now he's on the in-game leadership role. There would be questions as to whether that's going to get significantly worse and could even affect them more. To be honest, I don't mind it. Like, I think, yeah, I've obviously talked about Zix and the risk that is involved here, and I'm sure that he recognises that the team is taking on some risk making a serious change like this at the time that they are. But I think if I was in his position, I'd probably do the same thing. Like, I think a change on this side is probably necessary and needs to be given a go if it's not working with Boostio. And I actually do believe in Xander to be a competent fragging in-game leader. We've seen it a little while ago, but maybe not so recently. So, you know, I don't know. We'll see. It's a big debate. I think that is going to be a crucial component as to whether 100T can actually work. And also what happens in the mid-rounding. is anyone going to help Asuna out there? These are various valid questions up and down the scene as well. But various interesting results in the Americas as well. EG took down 2G. Now, we know that they've been, well, let's say 2G have been making some progress recently in their online scrims and stuff. Spike was 60 and 44 plus 16, but in the end, it wasn't enough. Cabrera was minus 22. It was a pretty tough result for them, and Evil Geniuses just about scrape over the line. They won their Lotus 13-11, then they won the overtime or the decider ascent 13-9, so it wasn't exactly clean, but they did manage to get the job done. So 2G go down, and as Ye says, had some real funny moments. Glad my teammate and my chamber goat Derek had me, so I thought that was pretty cool to see chamber back in business, right? On that second map here, we had Derek 30 and 15 on the chamber, right? So yeah, just funny to see Ye not using that weapon, of course, given what we'd seen previously. And then MIBR got 2-1'd by Crew. So here we are. It's that time of the season again, ladies and gentlemen. We're on the lead up to the World Championship. That means Crew are going to magically come good for the next couple of months. And, that's what they're doing. Or maybe MIBR are just in a bit of free fall. Now, MIBR are a very interesting team, and there was a bit of drama about this yesterday because it doesn't seem like this break they had over the last couple of weeks was necessarily best utilised, because they won the Corrodes on Crew's pick, which was fair play. They won both pistols and converted them to make that happen, to be fair. But that was Crew's pick. But then on their map pick on the Ascent, they got absolutely annihilated, 13-1, and then got, beat on the Haven relatively comfortably as well, 13-9. Put up a bit of a fight in the second half, but it wasn't to be. So, and with MIBR, there was a bit of drama about this, right? Because Artzan is saying in the post-match interview they didn't have time to train for Stage 2. Did they have visa issues too, or did someone want to take free time to enjoy their life? Artzan's father says, perfect. Now, it seems that the team was... I think Aspas and his wife and Zenem were traveling in Europe, and then some of the other guys weren't really putting all that much practice time in. They weren't really playing together as a team. And as a result, is it any surprise that they struggled in yesterday's game? Yeah, Aspas is still going to play okay because he's that talented, but there's been a feeling maybe based on his streams and things recently that he's not as motivated about Valorant as he previously was. And it puts MIBR in a particularly precarious position, I would say. So, yeah, from the heights of Stage 1, I do not expect MIBR, if this kind of realization is true, to turn things around especially quickly. But in the Americas tonight, this is what's going on. 100T play NRG, Sentinels play G2, so both massively important games. But this is the one that I'm looking forward to more now than before, the 100T versus NRG game, because... given the changes that 100T have made and what that means for this matchup, this is going to be, I would say, particularly exciting. And just a couple of Scrimbux to close out the video with. G2 were actually spotted playing 100T with Kess and with Baby Bay in, and it was 11-4 to G2 in that scrim set. There was another map though that they played, and it was 10-6. So it's not necessarily like, 100T are cooked. There was another map they were doing pretty well against that new G2 lineup. But very much enjoyed your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.